Today I'm going to show you one of my favorite cast-ons for working on the double knitting board, especially if the fabric will be ribbed. Let's do the tubular cast-on this loom. We're going to use 24 stitches and we're going to make knit one, purl one ribbing. And that's why I want the tubular cast-on, because it makes for a very nice, neat sock top, which is what I'm making, and you will see the sock shortly in another video. Now notice that I have this offset. This is a noble knitter. Each end has 2 sets of holes, and you can either set it up so both of the inner holes align and you use them, say, or you could use both of the outer holes to hold the bolt. Or you can slide one piece over with reference to the next piece and get this offset pattern. And for fine gauge ribbing, that's going to be my most efficient thing. So the first row, we zigzag back and forth. And of course, there's nothing to knit here yet. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we need to come around this 12th one. Now, this will seem very surprising, but bring the yarn down only one side of the knitting. It has to be the near side in this case because of the way I wrapped it. You can't go back and start wrapping on the last needle you wrapped because it'll just unwind. So we're going to knit loops over all down this side. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now I'm going to turn the loom. Actually, you don't have to turn it if you can wrap and knit over comfortably from the other side. However, I have a limited amount of space that I can work in here that the camera can also see. And same thing, we knit down this second side. Get my yarn tail out of the way. This is often called a tubular cast on, and you can see why. This first row that I am actually knitting, we wrap the yarn all the way around like this, creating a tube shape. Now this is the last time we're going to knit like this, because the way this is set up, we don't have to make any purl stitches to get purl stitches. I know that sounds funny, but watch. The ones that I wrap and knit over on my side are knit stitches, right? Well, these are the direct opposite. So they will, in effect, be purl stitches. So every row hereafter will be wrapped in this fashion. This is my personal preference. I knit over the last stitch first, no matter where it is, because it locks the row into position. By the way, this is a noble knitter. It works exactly like every double knitting board. The only difference that I know of is that not every board does include 2 sets of holes at the end so that you can offset. However, if you could not offset, it would be okay. You could align the pegs perfectly and knit every other one on each side of the loom and get the same effect. The issue would be whether the gauge was what you wanted. And since I want a small gauge for these socks, I used the offset feature on this loom. Okay. We wrap and knit the next row in the exact same manner. This was the last stitch knitted, so I'm just going to start on the next one and wrap, and every ribbing row thereafter will be like this. There is one thing that I haven't done here that you might want to do. I have this set up for a fine gauge, and that leaves very little room for the fabric to drop down. It will, but we can help it along. In order to do that, take a separate length of yarn, lay it across either the cast on or the first row, and reach up and pull it down between. Let's see, I'm trying to let you see. I have a little hook on this end of my tool. I made my tool, and it includes a hook that should make it easier to catch the yarn. It's not. There we go. Now it's caught. Inserting my hook. You can do this with the regular loom tool. It just is a little harder. Now, because I have so little room to wiggle, I'm using a second tool to get that yarn into the hook and now pull down. And this is just an anchor cord. So I'm going to tie its ends together. But having done that, it'll give me a little handle so that I can pull the knitting down as it progresses. Let me point. Here is the anchor cord, and I can now pull it up because it can't get away. Pull it back down again whenever I feel I need to settle this fabric. And that way, before I can reach the fabric itself, I have some control over these stitches, and I have the ability to thread the fabric between the boards. Here is my fabric now emerging from the loom. And at this point, I really no longer need the anchor cord, so I'm going to get rid of it so you can see the cast on better. Here's why I like it. It looks nice and tidy, but it has plenty of stretch. And that's just what we need for a sock top and for many other things.